Hello guys, how you doing? My name is Ayodeji and welcome to Narent. Today I want to talk briefly about ego and how it has absolutely no place in graphic design world whatsoever. Well, let me just say whatsoever, but moderately. Firstly, before I go further, I just feel like I should just quickly talk about what ego is. I don't mean it's like a negative aspect whereby you think that the person is trying to take over the design or something, but it's actually very close to that. Ego is basically the I or self of a person, and when that self is projected into a design, that's what we're going to talk about today. If I should use the Japanese as an example, there are different ways they project their culture compared to the Western world, or let's say it's compared to the American or the Nigerians. In the Japanese country, red, white, black, colors that we are all familiar with, can mean entirely different thing in a different culture. For example, white signifies death in Japan. So when you're trying to do a design that signifies maybe somebody died, or you're trying to talk about death, it's advisable to use white complemented with other colors. Whereas in the Western world, or in America, it would make more sense for you to use black. The same way, red can somewhat signify anger, danger, and all those other things. Red in Japan signifies an entirely different thing, because black signifies anger, whereas red signifies anger in America or Nigeria or in the Western hemisphere. These different perspectives are where ego really shine. Because I feel that to an extent, ego is basically your perspective on how you see something projected in your design. That's exactly when you now know your ego is playing a part. If I should give you an example, I initially started my design journey as a photo manipulator, a visual artist basically. So when I do a lot of visual arts, I really love nighttime arts. It's still something I do. You can check out our Instagram page, you'll see some of the artwork we've been doing. I love nighttime arts, and so I got used to using blue, dark blue, black, and maybe like silver highlights. I really just got used to using those kind of things. And then when I decided to move on to the commercial aspect of graphic design, I found out that I need to change some things that I've already incorporated into myself. I need to check my ego. Meaning that just because I love using the color blue doesn't mean that all logos should be blue. Just because I loved using a certain type of highlight doesn't mean all logos need to have a gradient. Just because I liked using 3D materials on my visual arts doesn't mean I need to do only 3D logos. I needed to keep my ego in check, and I needed to follow exactly what the client wanted in his design. If I should give an example, think of it this way. Your client comes to you telling you that I want a minimalistic logo, something that really projects the feel of our work. I want something simple, I want something minimal. But because of your 3D logo artist, that is where you shine. You decided to do a 3D logo. You see how a problem is going to occur down the line. Because of your client wanted minimal, and you decide to go with 3D just because that's what you're good at. Or your client comes and says that we're going to be a funeral parlor, and so we want something that signifies funeral. But then you decide to use a different color because of that is what your culture or your country uses to signify funerals or deaths. There will be a mistake there somewhere. All these are things that you need to keep in check. If I should give an example of how arts and design are two different things. Art is subjective, meaning that the artist draws in a certain way and everybody interprets or views it differently. Whereas design is objective, in a case whereby the designer needs to hit a target. A target has already been drawn, and the designer needs to hit it whereas the artist literally draws over the target. If I should use something that I actually really love, mangas. I really love Naruto and all those other form of mangas. Masashi Kishimoto, the creator of Naruto, he draws his characters differently compared to, let's say, Boichi, who draws his character to look a bit more 3D, a bit more realistic. Whereas Kishimoto's characters, still beautifully drawn, still lovely in every way, are different from Boichi's own. Both are still okay. Both mangas, or rather both mangakas, are still drawing perfectly and they're still getting a lot of traction worldwide from their stories. But their artwork are totally different. And that flies well compared to a designer. You can't just say you want to do agriculture and a design that signifies agriculture and you decide not to use green or brown or something that actually signifies the earth and agriculture, just because of you feel that somebody else has already done that and you decide to use blue and red for an agricultural design. Depending on how you use it or who your client is, it might fly well. But if your ego plays a part in what you are creating, you will probably encounter a couple of issues down the road. A designer is not meant to have a personal style, but as it's supposed to give a personal style to the products. Meaning that you might be wanting to design various things, but they do not need to look alike just because of it is your personal style. They are supposed to look differently, but they are supposed to have a certain type of personal style that company can use for the remainder of their existence. So you really need to learn how to navigate your ego. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you're not careful, it could make or break your design career. So I hope this has been extremely helpful to you guys, and I hope to see you guys next week. Have a wonderful day.